Okay. So here's our agenda, just our introductions. We have our presentation that will take approximately 30 minutes, and then we'll have about 10 minutes for questions and answers. Again, any questions, please make sure to list them in the chat bar, and I'll go through that. Here is a snapshot of the high school ABCs, the vocabulary words and acronyms that we popularly or commonly use in high school. And first up, our school counselor, Melissa Loyacona, will start us off.
Good morning. So for ACT, A is for ACT. ACT is the American College Testing. It's one of the standardized tests, and a lot of people think SAT, but there's also ACT. The difference is it has 4 main sections. It is graded a little different. It's out of 36 total, and each section would be equally weighted. So for those students that are definitely science-minded, ACT might be a better bet. We a lot of times tell students to take both ACT and SAT, see which one they do better on, and then focus on that test. Ms. Havens. ACE AP. So we have, when you hear ACE, A is for also ACE and AP. We do have the ACE diploma, and with the passing scores in the exam, students can earn college credits and be placed in class. A lot of people have the misconception, oh, it's only Florida. There's a lot of schools that it includes all over the country, and there's actually on the website. And if you'd like further information about what schools include which credits, we'll be more than happy to share about that. We also have AP classes where, again, if they do well in the exams, they can earn the college credits as well as the placement. It's also weighted more in the GPA, in the HPA. So an A in an ACE or an AP class is worth 6 points, as opposed to in an honors class, it would be 4.5 points. Bright Futures, that's our Florida scholarship that's actually paid for by the Florida Lottery. Right now, we're given information for what people need to qualify for the academic scholar and the medallion for 2020 up to 2022 graduates. Every year they come out with new requirements, but this is what we have for now. They must at least have their 4 English classes. They look at their 4 math classes, their 3 science classes, which must include biology, 3 social sciences, world history, U.S. history, and then government and economics. And they must have at least 2 foreign language years. Even though foreign language is not required to graduate, it is required for Bright Futures and for university to get into universities. They must also, if they want the academic scholarship, which is the higher scholarship that gives about $100 per credit hour, they must have at least a 3.5 weighted GPA in those classes. It's not your Spanish River GPA. It's the 4 English, the 4 math, the science, the social studies, and the world language, and they will take the highest attempt. Then for college entrance exams, you must get at least a 20, go back, Ms. Havens. They must have at least a 29 on the ACT or a 1330 on the SAT for the academic scholar, and 100 community service hours logged into our system. And for the medallion scholarship, which pays about $75 per credit hour, they must have the 3.0, as well as the 25 on the ACT, a 1210 on the SAT, and 75 hours of community service. So if you qualify, if you receive the ACE diploma, so our current freshmen through juniors have the opportunity to receive the ACE diploma. In order to do that, they must get 7 ACE points. I saw somebody wrote about the scoring of them. As long as they pass it without an score, then they would get that point. So they must have at least global perspectives to get the ACE diploma, which is usually given in 10th grade year. They must have at least a math and from the science group. At Spanish River, we do offer ACE Marine Science. If they would like, they can get from that group. Languages, we offer ACE English Language, so they can get from that group. Arts and humanities, we offer a variety of ACE classes that fit into arts and humanities, our business classes as well, and interdisciplinary skills as an optional group where they can get their points. So you must have at least global perspectives as 1 point, math and science is another point, languages a point, arts and humanities a point, and then the other 3 points can be from any of the groups, including interdisciplinary. General paper, for example, is an interdisciplinary. Community service, they must get at least 20 hours of community service in order to graduate. So remember, though, the Bright Futures have at least 75 for the medallion, 100 for the academic. Students can volunteer at various organizations, non-for-profit. We do have some online options as well on our school website for those parents who are concerned about COVID. There are some online options that students can do. But it's anything at hospitals, American Cancer Society, local church or synagogue, any of those places would qualify for community service hours. They can start before 9th grade year, and the goal is to get them done by December of junior year, for at least the graduation ones. The Bright Futures ones, we need by May 1st of graduation for them to get in. The online options, somebody just asked, where are they? They are under school, I believe, school and for students and parents, school information. But we can type that into the tab bar when I'm done. I'll type that in. Credits. What is a credit? A credit is a half point or full point earned when they successfully complete a semester or year-long class. So for example, all of your students are in 7 courses, or they should be. So most of them are semester classes where each semester they'll earn a half a credit. There are some year-long classes, which are EOC classes. Those are algebra, geometry, biology, and US history. So if your student is any of those classes, you will not see a final grade till the end of the year. There will not be semester grades. It'll just be year-long grades. So how those work is the semester credits are, we average, it's 40% for quarter 1, 40% for quarter 2, and 20% for the exam. They average that together to give you your semester grade. For the EOC classes, then that's a little different. 70% of your grade is based on the coursework, and 30% is based on the EOC, which is taken at the end of the year, the standardized test. Dual enrollment. Students have the opportunity to take college credits for free, and the district also pays for their books while they're in high school. So basically, they usually can take elective types classes. We usually say don't take something that we offer on our campus. For example, we offer AP Art History. So they would necessarily take art history at the campus, but maybe there's a class that interests them at either Palm Beach State or FAU. So when you take those, you would then be able to get college credit, but you'd also be getting high school credit. And it's weighted on that 6.0 scale, like I mentioned before, for your HPA. In order to dual enroll, you can dual enroll after your freshman year of high school, but you must have at least a 3.0 GPA, get approval form from the school counselor, and you get a minimum score on either the PERT, the SAT, or the ACT. And that is all listed under the dual enrollment section on the Palm Beach State website. And it doesn't matter which one the student decides to go to. They both have classes, and colleges have been fine with both. It just seems that there's a little bit less fees at Palm Beach State because there are some fees you have to pay, but not much. But the classwork and the books are paid for by the district of Palm Beach County.
And next up, we'll have Natalie Riding, our school counselor, work on the next couple slides.
All right. So a lot of times you'll see ELA written, which stands for English Language Arts, which all of our students will take the FSA ELA, which is just the English Language Arts section of the FSA, which is put into two parts. So it's a reading section, and then it's going to be a writing section. This is a graduation requirement that all students take this, and a student must score a level 3 or above on this exam. Most students take it in 10th grade. If they do not pass the first time, then we will continue to give that test so that they can hopefully pass and meet that graduation requirement. All right, EOC. So Mrs. Loyacona just touched on this a little bit, but again, that is the end of course exam. EOC classes, there are algebra, geometry, biology, and US history. Those are our only courses that require an EOC. Again, this is going to be calculated as 30% of their grade. So the other portion is going to be their classwork, assignments throughout the year, and those sort of things. There will not be a semester grade for these classes, so there will just be one final grade at the end. The other big thing on this would be the algebra EOC. This is also a graduation requirement along with the ELA FSA. So students are going to need to score a 3, 4, or a 5 on this in order to meet the requirement. And again, if a student does not pass this, we will test them again so that hopefully they can meet this requirement for graduation. All right, extracurricular activities. So as you all know, these are so important for our students to be involved in. It gives them an opportunity to, meet new people, learn important life skills, remain engaged, and studies show that students who are involved in extracurricular activities, whether it's here at school or outside of school, are overall just more successful and ready for life outside of high school. The other important aspect of getting involved would be for plans after high school, like college applications. Colleges do like to see that your students have been involved in a variety of different things, and it shows them as a whole person, not just their grades and test scores. These can be anything from being involved in a sport to being involved in a club, youth group, volunteer time, anything of that nature. We just want to make sure that they are spending their time wisely outside of school and remaining involved. So we offer a large number of clubs and extracurricular activities here, and you can see a lot of those listed on our website. Given virtual learning and the current circumstances, we are still offering quite a few clubs. Many of them are meeting through Google Meets and are sending out their Google Class codes on the announcements and as well as the website. So encourage your child to get involved, find a club that they're interested in, and if there isn't one that they like and they've got an idea for a new club, they can always start a club as long as they've got a class sponsor. So just again, push that, encourage that. We want our kids to be involved in everything we've got going on here at Spanish River. Final exams. So final exams are taken at the end of each semester. These are only given in classes that are non-EOC classes, and they are worth 20% of the final grade. So the other portion is going to be the 40% for first semester, 40% for second semester, and then the final grade. Again, these are very stressful. Students typically get pretty nervous about these, so just make sure they're studying far in advance, and the morning of their exam, they've got a good night's sleep, they've eaten a good breakfast so that they're ready to come in and do well on their final. Perfect. So Florida Virtual School, a lot of times you'll hear that called FLVS, which is synonymous with the Palm Beach Virtual School. So all students, in order to graduate, are required to take an online course, and a majority of our students do take this through Florida Virtual School. So when they go to flvs.net, they would go to enroll and register for a course, and they would choose Palm Beach Virtual School when registering. Again, this is a requirement for graduation, and the student must complete the entirety of the course. So it's important to remember that if the course is split into 2 segments and is a part 1 and part 2 class, they're required to take both segments in order to meet the graduation requirement. There are a handful of courses that are only 1 segment, which those do meet the graduation requirement as well. Some of those classes would include driver's education, there's a study skills class, social media class. So those are popular options for students who are just wanting to get the required credit completed. The courses through FLVS are also a good opportunity if your student has failed a course or earned a D in a course and they're wanting to redo it in order to bring up their GPA or HPA. This is a good opportunity for them to retake the course in order to improve their grades. FLVS does have all different levels of classes. They have regular honors and some AP classes, and there are the core classes as well as elective classes listed on their website. If you head to their website and click on the courses, you can click and read through all of the options and the course descriptions. All right, so F is for foreign language. This is a pretty common question that we get from students and parents asking about foreign language as a requirement. So a foreign language is not required for graduation. However, universities, so to be accepted into a 4-year university, they are wanting to see that students have taken a minimum of 2 years of the same foreign language. So again, that is not required to graduate, but to be admitted into a 4-year university, your student will have wanted to have taken 2 years of the same foreign language or more. So here at Spanish River, we offer Spanish, sign language, and French. And yes, sign language is a foreign language. There are also options on FLVS, but we really encourage students to take the foreign language and get the full experience here at the River with the reading, writing, and speaking. So again, not required for graduation, but required as far as university admittance.
All right, thank you. And next up we have Ms. Kimberly Richards.
Good morning, everybody. I'm here to talk about FSA. So FSA stands for the Florida Standards Assessment, and it is a state assessment used to measure student achievement in terms of readiness for graduation and given in those 3 subject areas. One of the graduation requirements that we have here is to score a level 3, 4, or 5 on the 10th grade FSA ELA. Okay, ABCs, letter G. G stands for the grade point average. So all letter grades earned at the end of semester 1 and semester 2 and full year grades for some of our courses are awarded numerical points. Grade point averages are cumulative, and they begin with the first high school course taken, even if it is in middle school. GPA is one of the most important factors that colleges will look at during the admissions process. It is one of the factors, but they do put a high emphasis on GPA. And we do have GPA for grade point average, and we have HPA for honors point average. The GPA is unweighted, and the HPA is weighted. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. So how does a GPA work? It's very important to start off high school with a strong GPA and continue to work hard to maintain it throughout high school. Colleges will be looking at grades from all 4 years, so it's very, very important that the grades show hard work and dedication throughout all 4 years. No slacking off in your senior year. Earning an F in a class has a tremendous impact on your GPA. It can drop it significantly, and it becomes difficult to bring up a GPA after you earn an F. So Making sure that your sons and your daughters are working very hard from the beginning is very important. Sometimes we hear from our seniors, I wish I had done better in my senior year. So, required GPA. So like I mentioned, the GPA is a cumulative number, and a 2.0 is required to graduate. So at the end of the senior year, when the counselors and calculating GPAs and everything, you must have a 2.0 in order to graduate. But note that colleges and universities require a 3.0 and higher for admissions. So it's important to shoot for that higher GPA. So I've talked about GPA, but there's also HPA, which we've mentioned as well. So how are the GPA and the HPA calculated? Like I said before, all letter grades are awarded points. We offer classes here at Spanish River at the regular level, honors level, and AP, which stands for advanced placement, and the ACE level. So an A, for example, in a regular course is worth 4 points. An A in an honors course is worth 4.5, and an A in an AP or an ACE course is worth 6 points. So when calculating a GPA, all courses are given the regular weight, but an honors point average takes into account the extra weight for the honors and the AP classes. And it's important to note as well that Bright Futures and universities will review the HPA. A little bit more about grades. I think a little bit of this was mentioned before, but it's important, so we wanted to go over this again. Here at Spanish River, we have non-EOC courses and we do have EOC courses. For non-EOC courses, each semester is divided into 2 9-week grading periods or quarters and a semester exam. So the first semester average equals the first 9 weeks, which is 40%, plus the second 9 weeks, which is 40%. Plus the semester exam, which is 20%. All those things are averaged out, and those things determine your first semester grade. And same thing for second semester average. We take the third 9-week grade, 40%, the fourth 9-week grade for 40%, and the semester exam for 20%. Now we also have the EOC classes, which we mentioned before, and those classes are Algebra 1, Geometry, Biology, and U.S. History. So for those classes, there's one final grade for the full year. So there'll be no semester grade at the end of semester 1. Each quarter in our EOC classes is given equal weight, and the end of course exam, the end of course state exam, is worth 30%.
Okay, thank you. Next up, we have Ms. Tia Wooden, I believe, for the next couple slides.
Yes, good morning, everyone. So next couple slides are mine. So this slide is about HOPE, which stands for Health Opportunities Through Physical Education. So 1 full credit of PE is required to graduate, and there's various ways that students can earn them. They can either take the actual class called HOPE on FOVS, and that's both segments, segment 1 and 2. They must do both to get the credit, or they can take the class called Personal Fitness and Team Sports, or some other physical activity. That's a very common way of getting the credit. So a lot of freshmen will end up taking Personal Fitness, which has a little bit of book work with it, and then Team Sports, or it can be weightlifting or volleyball, so on and so forth. Another way is to play 2 years of a JV or varsity sport here at Spanish River High School. And then another way is if they do 1 year of, or 1 season of marching band, that will count for their physical education part, and they can do the actual class called Personal Fitness, either in school or online. So quite a few ways to get that credit. Okay, and Ms. Richards already touched on the HPA, but just a reminder, HPA reflects those extra points for honors and AP and ACE classes. And Bright Futures and universities typically will review the HPA. Okay, mental health. Mental health includes our emotional, psychological, social, overall well-being. It's very important. And it's common for students to experience issues, especially nowadays with everything going on. We have help if your student is struggling. We have our very own behavioral health professional, Dr. Rose Bassel, who is here to work with your students if they need additional support. And her email is there at the bottom, rose.bassel@palmbeachschools.org. Okay, so midterm exams are used to assess students' grasp of the material and identify areas that need remediation. Those are done at the end of semester one. So some people use the terminology midterm, some people say semester one exam. Those are synonymous, it's the same thing. And they're worth 20% of the semester grade for classes that are not EOC, and for EOC classes, they're worth 12% of the year-long grade. Okay, PSAT. PSAT is offered to all 9th and 10th graders during the school day. Juniors can sign up to take it, especially if they are being considered for the National Merit Scholarship. Quarters. So you'll often hear the terminology quarter one, quarter two, quarter three, and quarter four. So as we all know, that school got started a little bit late this year due to COVID-19. So our quarters are shifted a little bit later than in previous years. So quarter one actually started on August 31st and ends on November 2nd. Each quarter is roughly 9 weeks. Second quarter goes from November 4th, 2020 to January 20th, 2021. Third quarter is from February 2nd to April 15th, that's 2021. And then fourth quarter will be from April 19th to June 18th, and that's also 2021. So 4 quarters in a school year. First and second quarter together are considered semester one. Third and fourth quarter together are considered semester two. So as you can see, fourth quarter does not end until June 18th. So that's the makeup for those weeks that we started late this year.
Okay, thanks so much. Next up, we have Dr. Daniel Keller, who will talk about the last couple slides we have.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us this morning, and good morning. So I'm going to first talk about rank. So rank is what you often hear, you valedictorian, salutatorian. How that is determined by the HPA, or the weighted grade point average. On average, our classes have about 600 students. So your student will be ranked amongst their peers based on their HPA. Ms. Loyacona talked about the ACT earlier. Now we will talk about the SAT. This is called the Scholastic Assessment Test. It has been called multiple things, and oftentimes for students it is called a headache. But with that being said, it is considered to be a college entrance exam. So in addition to grade point average, essays, and all of those other things that will be necessary for a college application, a college entrance exam score will also be necessary. So the SAT differs slightly from the ACT in the fact that it has 3 main sections as opposed to 4. And as you can see on this slide, reading, writing, and language and math, which the reading and writing section are composed into one score of 800. A max of 800 in math is also scored out of 800. For ultimately a combined score of 16. So, school counselor. That term is thrown around a lot. It used to be referred to as guidance counselor. We have now shifted to a school counselor model as we incorporate so much more than just the guidance piece. So that is who you have met earlier today with all of the counselors as we are presenting individually. On the next slide, I will go into who we are. But what we do is very important. So we work on a couple of different facets of what is going on. So we are here for the academic, the career, and social emotional needs of your students. We are here for you and your students. Please do not hesitate to reach out to us, that we are an essential part of this process. So who are we? So the person you're talking to right now, as introduced by Ms. Havens, is Dr. Daniel Keller. That would be myself. I am the college and career coach, a new position for this year. So I will assist you with all things college and career. Miss Ridings has the alphabet A through D. So the way we work is we split up the alphabet based on your last name. The only exception would be with ninth graders. So Miss Havens, so I'm going to jump around on this sheet just a little bit since Miss Havens started this presentation. She's in the lower right-hand corner of the slide. She's waving to you down there. So she's waving in person now. So she will handle all of the students with the last names L through Z for ninth grade. Miss Kim Richards on the bottom left-hand side of our slide, and now showing herself on the screen, is the A through K. So she has the beginning half of the alphabet for ninth grade. Miss Havens has the latter half. Miss Ridings has A through D, as mentioned previously. Melissa Loyacona has E through K. Miss Solid is now an intern for E through K. So you have double the help this year because they're double dipping. But mind you, the alphabet splits starting 10th grade, and they stay with their counselor 10th through 12th. Miss Janet Kalman has L through Q. Miss Tia Wooden, R through Z. And for any student who has an ELL designation, they will have Miss Abramowitz. And in the upper right-hand corner is Dr. Allen. She oversees the entire department from an administrative standpoint. Okay, what is a semester? We touched on this just briefly before. So a semester incorporates 2 quarters. So each quarter is 9 weeks. So that makes the semester 18 weeks. So there are 2 semesters, semester 1, semester 2. The end of semester 1 will involve a midterm grade or midterm exam. Okay, with that being said, a grade is populated based on both quarters and the semester exam. So for semester 1, it will be the midterm exam, and the same thing for semester 2. It will be a combination of 3rd quarter, 4th quarter grades, and the final exam. So that is the only exceptions will be those EOC courses, which we'll get into in just a moment. Semester 1 will end this year, which is an atypical year. It will end at the very end of January. Okay, so this here, there's a lot on this slide, but what you really need to focus on is, so for the ABCs portion of this, you may hear SUS thrown around. That stands for State University System. So what you have here is a collection of the 12 public schools in the state of Florida. As just looking really quickly, what is noted is that each of the schools on there displays a GPA, an SAT, or an ACT score. So every year, the SUS system will provide us with a middle 50% profile range for what it would take for a student to academically place themselves in good position as a candidate for acceptance into these universities. So it does emphasize here the GPA and the college entrance exam. Whether that it is the SAT or the ACT, either will work. but this is just kind of an idea. There is so much more taken into consideration than just these numbers, and plus these numbers are also not a guarantee, but it does give you a general idea of where you need to position yourself. Okay, tardies. Attendance matters. It matters a whole heck of a lot, because they're missing instruction. If you are late to class, that is time that you missed from being able to acquire some of the material that was being delivered by your teachers. So please emphasize with your students that they want to be on time for class. Also, excessive tardies will lead to disciplinary action, because tardies will add up to absences, and excessive absences will lead to disciplinary actions. They do have a tremendous amount of time between classes. We are very generous here, and we give 7 minutes in between class. We give more time than most other high schools, as they typically give about half the time that we do. So there is no reason to be late to class. Okay, as promised, I did tell you that there were going to be a couple of EOC classes that we were going to speak about. Those are the year-long classes. We mentioned EOC earlier. So there are only 4 EOC classes, and they are all designated as year-long classes. Those 4 classes are Algebra 1, Geometry, Biology, and U.S. History. Okay, Algebra 1 and Geometry may be taken, in Biology itself may also be taken freshman year or sophomore year. U.S. History is an 11th grade class, so all 11th graders will take U.S. History. So these classes will not follow the same structure as your semester-long classes. And it was touched upon earlier, but I just want to revisit that just for a moment. So these classes will not generate a semester 1 grade. So if you're looking at a report card and your student happens to have an EOC class and you are not seeing a semester 1 grade, that is because these classes, being year long, will only populate a grade at the very end of the school year. Thus why they fall into the year long category. So please understand that it is not a mistake when you receive that report card. You may have 5 semester grades and 2 that are not there, and if they are an EOC class, that is why.
Okay, thank you so much to all our school counselors who presented the slides. We do have a couple minutes for the Q&A section, and we had a couple questions that were asked, and some were already answered within the chat bar, but there are a couple. I'm going to see if Ms. Loyakona, if you're up for answering. There's some questions about the EOC exams being virtual or if they'll have to go in to take them, and about EOCs being given for missed ones because of COVID. And I can try to answer them too, but of course, if any other school counselors want to pop in, feel free. Right now, our testing coordinator is working hard with a lot of different changes and dates. Some EOCs have already been administered, and she is continuing to work on them. There are changing dates, sometimes daily, sometimes weekly, and we'll get updates. So she's working hard on that for the EOCs that were missed because of COVID. As far as exams being given virtual, I'm not aware if that's an option. So far, our students have come in to take EOC classes. I'm sorry, to take EOC exams. And then one of the last questions I saw was these EOC classes, honor classes, or just regular classes. So we offer regular and honors in a lot of our classes, including a lot of our EOC classes. Regular, honor, I believe even offered like AP, US History. So there is a variety of levels offered. And I don't see any other questions. The very top question how can you find out the score for ACE, and what do they mean as they are different than A, B, and C? Dr. Keller, are you able to help answer that one?
Sort of. I don't have the scale in front of me, but pretty much they run on a different scale. I want to say that it's A to E or A to F. I would have to confirm that. They do have a different scale of sorts, as long as a student did not receive an ungraded score, and it will be reflected as ungraded or ungradable. As long as they don't receive a score such as those, that is still passing. Although it may be off-putting because you receive a score of, say, an E, and you don't know what that would mean, that as long as it's not ungradable, then you would have passed for the purpose of acquiring the point.
Okay, thank you. And yeah, we can try to post, I'll look for a link that answers that question as well, so that you guys have that resource too.
I can tag in just a little bit in regards to the college credit for the ACE classes. So each college, they generally offer similar credits for the ACE and AP as far as the Florida colleges. But if you are really taking the ACE classes and you're interested in getting that college credit, it would be best to look at that college's particular list of AP and ACE classes and what they award, because sometimes it's dependent upon the score. So if they got an A or a B, they'll get credit for, this particular class. So it sometimes depends on the score as far as the ACE classes, but it's best to look at the college. So for example, I'll use FSU since I went to FSU, go Noles. If you look at FSU's ACE credit, they have a list of the ACE courses and what they will award based on what score they got on the test.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Wooded and Dr. Keller, for helping me answer that. But also we will provide any helpful links on the Q&A sheet that I'll post as well. So hopefully you guys were able to get some questions answered, understand some more of our terminology and our acronyms that we use. Thank you so much for joining us. And remember, there is a short survey that I'm going to email out to all families. We'd really appreciate you taking a couple minutes to fill that out. And our next virtual coffee with the counselors is Friday, November 13th at 8 a.m. And we hope to see you there. And that's it for today. So go ahead. Yep, I will post a copy of this presentation, of the presentation itself, and also the video. I'll post it on our website. On our website, there's a link for school info, or a tab for school info, and there's a section for the school counseling department. So you can click in there and you will see all of that. And you're welcome. Thanks for all the nice comments. Thanks again for joining us. We appreciate you guys being here. And I'm going to stop the recording now.